So you have to have the capacity to effectively see the chart, those dips and those troughs. And today, though it may not sound like it, weighing 178 pounds and some odd is epic for me because I am 100% carb loaded. So the last time that I went through this 100% carb load, I ended up weighing about 185 pounds at the end of it all. So it's proof to me that these undulations are very effective and they're very much working. I can't say that I have a 4-pack, I kind of have a 3-pack, but I can see the block, I can feel the block, and I've just got to do more crunches at this point and keep getting leaner, but I can see where this is going as far as, sorry, the battery's running low. Doesn't that annoy you? That it just stops everything for that little warning? But I guess if you're in an emergency situation, there's, cause for that. Anyway, so what that means is if I'm 178 some odd pounds, I'm going to be below 170 pounds when I finally lose all the water and all the glycogen that I have stored. It's exciting to me because I'm actually there. And that's why it's so important to be able to look at and chart your own personal weight gain, your own personal weight loss. It really is, the main mark is if you don't have body fat calipers and you're not accurately keeping track of that. Like when I had calipers for years as a trainer, I would just pinch exactly in the same spot, lower belly, subcutaneous fat, right, in the same exact site location, just a couple inches to the right of my umbilicus, my belly button, and try not to pinch way into it where I'm getting a lot of skin, but doing the same pinch every single day to where I could see the level of accuracy. And this really gave me a good gauge to when I would get on the scale. Ironically, this is the same scale that I used way back in the day. Don't want to get into that. It could bring back traumatic memories. A lot of traumatic memories if we choose to dwell on that. Got to stay on the positive side, and when you have the mind of the athlete, not the athlete that's in competition with other people. If you'll look at these narcissist channels, you'll start to scratch your head and look at the person who has the channel and start to ask yourself, are you talking about yourself? And even more so, as you're listening to this, you're identifying with certain traits going, that's not what the evil is. The most evil personality type is the emulator. Nathaniel Gillis calls it I think the molten. It's like they're actually like birds. They're molting. It's kind of like a crucible. They're trying to take on your form. And these are people who never, entities, in Nathaniel Gillis's case that he's talking about, but it is this entity of someone who has never reached a self. They never developed a self. They didn't have any sense of self. So they were always trying other people on like clothing. But because they were so worldly, they would try to trump the person's actual authentic behavior. And that's why being around these so-called narcissists, malignant narcissists, will drive you absolutely insane. But what I propose is that is modern psychology even taking a view of itself in the DSM. And to say that it is the mimic, it is the person who has no identity, no self, and is an avatar to these entities. It goes much deeper. And so I think the chameleon, the master chameleon, somebody who's mastered it because that's all they ever do. They only copy other people, they emulate other people, and they do it with such strategy that they presuppose the next behavior. And in their presupposing, they're basically climbing up your ladder and then building their own ladder, where out of principle you would have cut off, right? You would have said, I'm not climbing any higher because this is a corporeal, worldly, temporal pursuit. There's no reason to go any higher. I need to check myself. Right-hand path. I need to apply principles and meditate on this. And that's when they're just shooting up and completing this and writing off your steam and acquisitioning, going about the capitalistic attainment is the most important thing to them. And so it's really important, long story short, not to become that way when you're going through this, that you don't become a narcissist. And so the way that you can do that is by focusing back on the athletics. I'm not talking about competition. Again, it's not about you making other people look bad or you outdoing. It's about moving your body through biomechanical process. It's about setting goals, whether or not that's a distance goal, an intensity goal, or a duration-based goal, like you want to run a 10K, right? So personal goals, being healthy, knowing yourself, knowing that you are an authentic identity, and that purity is the main thing that you're always looking back to with religiosity, principles, and that you're not displaying these principles for other people. Like, another thing that happens is when we start to mentor other people, we lose ourselves. Or the person that we are mentoring is only listening to you, but in the back of their head, they're trying to figure out how to sabotage you. And so even the teacher can't effectively teach the student because the student doesn't see themselves as the student. They see someone really and truly as someone who's being treated inferior by a person that is assuming an authority figure, themselves as an authority figure or the author. So that's why on this channel, I center it back to GIT training, G-I-T, gradual intensity training, and the 3-day cycle, where there's always forgiveness. You never blow it. Even when you think you blew it, your body needed something, you get right back on it. And you can always fall back to where you're back on the carnivore diet, or you're back into eating high fiber foods. I've done it over and over again, and I've consistently lost body fat. I'm not to the point where I'm gonna like lift my shirt up, but I don't know if I'll ever get to that point again, even if I had an 8-pack. I see that now, that we take on the persona or these behaviors of a narcissist, and me flexing out there, I'm feeling good. I'm saying I have no shame. Now, somebody who's judging me could say, oh, that's base, right? But the truth is, I know what's underneath. I've proven what's underneath in a non-cocky way. I'm not cocky about it. I have a lot of work to do. And so that's why I'm getting back to this talk about athletics. It's like, at this point, I really want to get back in the gym. I want to do everything from, reformer Pilates, which I had a certification in, to kettlebells, which I had certification in, really high-level certification with a master dragon door trainer. And, doing things like that just to keep moving. And that's the beauty of being a gym rat. And the gym rat needs to know more than anybody that their principles have to be upheld. You're not in there to stay on your laptop and hang out and suck your cheeks in and pretend you're part of the staff. If you want to become part of the staff, then you need to be doing due diligence and working when you're at a gym. But if you're spending that much time in there, you need to take your breaks and go into self-reflection. So that's why I always went out into the parking lot. I sat in my car, I meditated, I strategized. A lot of times I just took a nap, and then I would go right back in and get my next 45-minute workout in. It's extremely important, if you're making this like a full-time lifestyle, to keep the nutrient support around, but even more so to stay mentally focused and balanced by giving yourself adequate rest, taking your time, doing what I used to call minimum cycles or min cycles, where you're just going in and doing 3 to 5 sets, and then later on, after a little rest, you might do 12, 13 more sets. You might go in and do a half hour of conditioning, and then you might take 2 or 3 days off, and then the tough part is carb loading, coming back in and doing the same thing with the same or greater efficacy. And that's really what I'm getting back into, is that it is a lifestyle for me. It's something that I really love, but it needs to transition into an athletic pursuit where you're actually out there. You get a bike, you get some good running shoes. I like to get 5-finger shoes. That's a little out of my budget right now. It's the only real way that I can get any advancement in my walking or running in. So getting outside, being in an area where you want to go to a park and do mat exercises, Spider-Mans, bridges, planks, you name it, maybe yoga. So those types of things are extremely important, and it helps you integrate functional strength and endurance and mobility and stabilization into real-time situations that can make you money, can allow you to prosper, but more so create a concurrent balance where you're not the narcissist, you're not the chameleon. You're the same person. If they wake you up in the middle of the night, you're the same person that you are when you wake up in the morning. You're the same person in the afternoon. Maybe it may be tired, but that's earned, and you have to understand the principles to fill yourself up with that pure source energy. Bless you.